The Draft Review Show presented by EA Sports continues on NBATV. Talking about the Milwaukee Bucks and the Central Division. You will see that the Milwaukee Bucks, they had the 10th pick in the 2009 draft because of that stinky record, 34-48. 32 games behind the best team in the NBA, the Cleveland Cavaliers. And they take Brandon Jennings with the 10th overall pick. He, out of Lodematica, Roma, he spent his one-and-done year over in Italy, learning through the School of Hard Knocks. And then they got Jody Meeks, a shooting guard that I know our panel likes a lot. Speaking of our panel, why don't we introduce you to them? We have Ron Thompson. He is, of course, a former college coach and NBA scout. Eric Snow needs no introduction. And David Aldridge, NBA insider. I'm Rick Kamla. So I want to start the conversation with one of the weirdest draft scenes we've ever seen. All right, Brandon Jennings, one of the most talked about players coming into this draft, the one and done year spent in Italy, draft stock all over the place, from 20 to 6 to wherever you want to go. Bill Duffy, his agent, advises him and his family not to be at the theater, the WAMU Theater, in the green room to go up and meet David Stern right when he's picked because he's afraid he's going to melt under the pressure of slipping down in the draft. Well, that decision by Duffy blows up in his face. Brandon Jennings goes 10, very respectable draft spot, to Milwaukee, and then Jennings comes back to the theater. David Stern has to awkwardly introduce him to the theater there in New York City, a completely odd, surreal scenario, and it never should have gone down that way.
I guess not. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not losing a whole lot of sleep over this. But, you know, it was kind of awkward, I guess. But Brandon Jennings now going to Milwaukee in a rebuild situation. They traded Richard Jefferson to San Antonio for guys that are not going to be on their roster to save some money. Hopefully be able to re-sign either Ramon Sessions or Charlie Villanueva.
Who's more likely, do you think?
I think they have to re-sign Sessions,
I agree.
Because I don't think Brandon Jennings is ready to be an NBA point guard right now. And Sessions is a guy that showed you he can be a starter in this league. And with Michael Redd coming back off an injury, with Bogut there, they need a guy who can get the ball to people in the right spots. I don't think right now Brandon's ready to do that.
Eric, we haven't talked about Brandon Jennings, you and I. I can't wait to hear your opinion on him. Are you a believer in him? Do you think he has star potential, or do you have some doubts about him?
Star potential? I mean, I don't use that word, because I don't think that, as talented as he is and much of a clone he is to Allen Iverson, I don't think he's that type of player. And Allen Iverson's a star coming in. You knew he was a star. I think he got in, come in and be a spark plug for you, coming in and scoring. And he should be an energy guy off the bench, coming in, defensively, offensively. My one concern with this team is Scott Skiles. I'm not sure. You're going to have to compete and play hard and play consistent and not play all flashy under a Scott Skiles system. If he can do that, then he'll be able to come out and he'll give them an intangible that they don't have. That little small guy that's jittery, get in the lane and get fouled. He can give them an intangible that they don't have, but I'm not sure if he can fit into that Scott Skiles mold.
I understand. I think of guys like T.J. Ford, Aaron Brooks, fit maybe a similar mold to a Brandon Jennings. But, Ron, tell everybody at home what he brings in terms of his skill set. Do you think he's NBA ready? What do you think about his experiment going over to Italy?
Well, I think the experiment was a good one. I wish he probably could have stayed a little bit longer. Is he ready to come into the league right now and take over an NBA team? I think definitely not. I think the selection of Brandon Jennings, in my opinion, is a feast or famine. I think it's going to work out great or it's not going to work out that well. Physically, he has to get stronger. He is not an Allen Iverson type of ball player. He's in that mold, but he's definitely no Allen Iverson. I think he has an upside. I think he has to take time to adjust, and he needs to log minutes and log time. To come into the NBA and run a pro team at the NBA level when you haven't played that much the year prior, and the year prior to that you were in high school, is very, very difficult.
Rod, the late, great Chuck Daly used to say, you got to feed the hot hand, so we're going to keep you rolling here. Tell them all about Jody Meeks.
Jody Meeks, I thought, had an excellent college career. I recruited the heck out of him when he was in high school. He's a strong – I didn't get him, obviously. He went to Kentucky, but he has a strong physical body. He can shoot deep. He's a little bit small to play the two position. He's not a guy that can play up the one in a pinch. but he's a good kid. You know what you're going to get, blue-collar, hard worker. In the same breath, I think it's going to be very difficult for Jody to make this team.
Really?
I think he may be the type of guy that may go to the D-League for a few years, possibly even go overseas. But it's going to be very difficult, I think, for him to make this team.
I was really surprised he didn't go back to Kentucky.
I
thought going back with Calipari, great system. It's going to be a high-profile team. They're going to probably get to the Final Four and have a chance to win a national championship. I thought that would have been a great way for him to come out of school after his junior year and become, a real maybe top 15 player. And now we see what happens. He was hoping to be a first-round pick, and now he slides to the second round with no guarantee, as Ronnie said, of making the team.
And Jody's a great kid. He's not the kind of kid that just needed the money and had to leave early. He's not the kind of kid that would have made that decision, I don't think, if he weren't instructed that that was a good move to make. He's not an impulsive kind of kid, nor is his family.
Well, I think I still think he'll make the team. I think you have a guy that'll come out and with Michael Redd and his injury situation, I think they will stack load at that position. They still have Charlie Bell, some other guys, but I think that they would still go young with them making that move to move RJ and bringing a guy in. I think they'll have 2 or 3 guys at that position, and I think he can play swing 2 or 3 at times. And they're going young, because obviously they're going young. And I think from that standpoint, you have a guy that's giving you 50 numbers in college. They have some kind of potential there that they like.
He will compete. Yeah. He will compete. He's going to make somebody's job difficult.
And John Hammond, who pulled the trigger on these 2 picks on draft night, still has more work to do. RFA's Charlie Villanueva and Ramon Sessions are going like this. Show me the money, baby. Hey, for Ron and Eric and DA, I'm Rick. This has been The Bucks. Go to NBA.com for more draft review presented by EA Sports.